Go tell Rimmer, go tell Crichton, it's time for Insert Credit Gaiden. Happy holidays, everyone. This is Alex Jaffe. Because you've all been very good this year, this week we've prepared for you a bonus travelogue of excerpts from our own Brandon Sheffield's recent trip to Japan. Goodbye forever, 2024.
Hello. Believe it or not, I don't like starting things off with caveats. Keep doing it, but I don't like it. This is Brandon Sheffield, by the way. I recorded a bunch of Gaiden content back in September when I was in Japan, walking around, doing stuff, interviewing people. Suffice to say, it was a weird time in my life, but we got some good things in there. There's interviewed Dylan Cuthbert, interviewed a couple people from Evening Star, and the co-founder of the Tokyo Indies meetup group out there, which is a game dev meetup that folks do in Akihabara, actually. So there's some good stuff. There's some traipsing around the countryside, all the usual hits. So hopefully you enjoy it. It's a Gaiden. Here it comes. Have a good time. Bye. There is a town called Suwa in the west of Kanto. It's like 2.5 hours out of Tokyo by a fast train. It's known for having a big lake and a bunch of mountains. I guess there's 8 of them that used to be one, but then it volcanically erupted and became 8. And that's where I am right now. I've been visiting Yumiko Miyabe, who you all will remember from past conversations on the show. She worked with Sega for Space Channel 5 and Space Channel 5 Part 2. Just went through her photo album of all of these old Sega people playing Sonic Team Bingo. Found out that Space Channel 5 characters were used as like feminine hygiene product spokesmodels. It's pretty cool. But we also went up to visit her personal family shrine, which is very small and pretty neat. And she said that I'm probably the only non-Japanese person that's ever looked at it in history. So that's a little funny. Everybody's asleep, so I'm walking to 2nd Street. I'll see what I can find. 2nd Street being the used clothing store. It's not the name of a street. Last night, we had a lot of funny happenings. There's a kind of a business known as a snaku. And a snack is like, so there's a cabaret club, right? You've seen this in the Yakuza games. That's where you have young ladies come up and pour you drinks and talk to you and tell you that you're interesting and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, there's cars because I just walked down out of the mountains and onto a major thoroughfare here. Anyway, that's a cabaret club. A snack is like there's an owner or two, usually older ladies, and you do pay a fee to get in, and then they kind of bring you stuff, and there's karaoke, and you can order food, and it always has like a weird, interesting vibe. And quite often, well, they're intimidating to get into, and it's the first time I've been to one because they can sometimes be like members only or just really insular in other ways as well. But we were able to get in because I guess Miyabe knew some guy who had introduced her to it. And we told that to the owner lady. She had no idea what we were talking about. It was all covered with like Winnie the Pooh stickers and Donald Duck and stuff on the inside, and Halloween decorations and Christmas decorations. And the floor had big squares in it, like 1.5 feet wide, 1.5 feet square, that would light up. These colored squares would light up to get you in that disco mood. and Christmas lights everywhere, things everywhere. It's hard to describe, but it was really quite a place. But the lady, who is the owner, along with another lady who I didn't see until later, she could not see. She couldn't hear. She couldn't remember more than one order at a time. I described it as she had low RAM, and there was a lot of buffering going on. She would come over, ask one of us what we wanted to drink. There were 5 of us. And then she'd go, okay. And then she'd go away, make it, bring it back and be like, all right, what do you want? And she would get it wrong sometimes, and she started bringing us random things that we didn't order. And bumping into glasses. It was a fun experience. And one of the best things on the menu was hitori-sama setto, single person's set. And we were like, what is that? And she's like, it's like when you sit here. when you sit down, you're here and you can do karaoke. And I was like, it's like the entry fee. It's just the charge, the regular charge that anyone would get. But they call it hitori-sama setto, and it was very confusing. But pretty fun. Also, she performed what others referred to as karaoke harassment. Man, I'm straight up not on a walkable road right now. Google has led me quite astray from the path. I'm gonna have to go stand in this parking lot. People are looking at me. What the heck am I doing here? It took me onto, not exactly a freeway entrance, but certainly an entrance to an expressway of some sort. Yeah, anyway, karaoke harassment. Nobody was singing, and it was, she's like, you gotta sing. And so she just turned a song on after these 2 salarymen came in and thwapped a button on the wall, and all these lights turned on. And they were basically, those guys were forced to sing. So karaoke harassment, all kinds of things. Yeah, she was very funny, and me being a vegetarian, she brought over some salad, and it had like a slice of ham laid on top. I guess it's quite a common thing. Like you have the ham with your rice. We didn't have any rice. It was just sitting on top of a bed of lettuce. But it was like a sandwich ham slice, just flopped on top of lettuce and an egg. Nobody thought that was weird but me. That stuff belongs in a sandwich, IMHO. But let's pause for a second. Right, so this lady, she couldn't see, she couldn't hear. It was quite a situation, but we hung out there. Some salarymen tried to make me sing SMAP. That was a little violating. They were trying to get me to do like hip thrusts and such. I don't like SMAP. The end. But after that we had another curious experience. We went to a sushi place that was run by someone who was described to me before we went as about as bad as Gaiden in terms of age and cognition. He actually had it pretty well together while we were there, but he was really, really old. But more than that, the style of sushi place is something that I have just not seen before. So there's a bar facing the customers. The sushi chef is, of course, behind it, and he's got his little raised platform and whatnot. But the bar is actually where he puts the sushi, and it's just like he wipes it clean, and then slaps all the sushi on there. I've never seen that it is unusual. There were a couple bugs because they raise bell crickets there. And so there was this crazy sound that I assumed was like a bad refrigerator fan. It was bell crickets. The restaurant had been there for like 48 years. Just the old man and his old wife with her drawn-on eyebrows, which made her look very surprised all the time. And the sushi was warm, which apparently is like a Showa way of doing it, but it was like quite warm. I'm used to cold, cool sushi where they have the rice cooled down, but not the case here. And the fish cuts were very large. Everybody was excited about that. I had umeshiso and natto. Natto had something crunchy in it that I could not identify, so that was a little slightly mildly alarming. But tell you what, different kind of a zone out here. So both of those things were inside what you could very reasonably call equivalent of a champion district from Yakuza. Like, it was a very small sort of shopping street, like square block that had a neon sign designation, and there was nobody in there. 10 or 11 shops to service the 5 people that existed in the area. It's hard to describe, but it's just like such a small, tight little area with all these weird little shops, all of which are staffed by octogenarians. And when they die, I was asking Miyabe, like, what's gonna happen to all this stuff when they go? And she's like, it's gonna be gone. It'll be gone forever. So I'm glad I got to see it. Hopefully I'll be able to get some photos so you can check out the vibe a little bit. But yeah, really quite a lot of stuff packed into one night, I have to say. I've been here for 4 days. Oh, there's a big crow. I'm not really sure what I'm doing podcast-wise. I think this is going to be even more meandering than usual, I'm afraid. I'll leave you with something fun that we saw that has been coming up multiple times across the last few days. We drove up into the mountains. There's like resorts up there, as well as vacation homes for people like Bill Gates, apparently. They do a lot of skiing in the winters. Now, of course, it's incredibly, incredibly hot. But we went up there and there were a lot of weird little shops. At the top of the mountain, you could buy like a Meruhen style dress for some reason. They had like a little dress cart almost. Pretty wild. I don't know what that was doing there. They had some really nice ice cream. I bought some ramune soft serve. But anywho, on the way down, like on the way up and on the way back, I kept being like, why is it all soba shops? What is it with Japan and mountains connecting to soba shops? Nobody had an answer, but everyone thought it was funny. But as we were discussing this situation, we passed by like a drifting range for cars. And I was looking at it, people were making initial D jokes. But then to the left, there was, it was the place that you could order your drifting experience, but you could also get soba, and it was called Dorifto and Soba. Drift and soba. It was pretty good. I'd buy forever. Say your name and your occupation for our lovely viewers and listeners. There's no viewers.
Yeah, my name's Christian Whitehead. I'm Evening Star's creative director and lead engine architect.
You hear that? We got Christian Whitehead. So, Christian Whitehead, what's up with Sonic? What do you think about that guy? Is he good? Is he bad? What do you feel?
And well, at the moment, like it's all about Shadow this year, man. Like it's
I suppose it's the year of Shadow.
Sonic's just kind of like taking a bit of a break from the background, letting his kind of darker, edgier brother, do his thing.
Do you feel like you're at least Sonic's stepdad at this point?
No, my kind of attitude is I never wanted to come across as like someone who was trying to be like take ownership of Sonic.
Sure.
Because there's so many people especially in that kind of whole creative scene with Sonic that you've got what's his name?
Izuka?
Well, yeah, obviously you've got the OG, Izuka-san at Sonic Team, and Hoshino-san. They've been there since the original 2D series, and they kind of are the chief custodians of that franchise.
Yeah.
And I mean, even with Sonic Superstars, they were working with Oshima-san, who is the true granddaddy of Sonic in terms of his character design and his ethos and everything.
Yeah.
And so, I'm more of like this person that just kind of like a substitute teacher that came in. It was a period of time where everyone there's this portion of the fan base that wanted classic 2D Sonic to return.
Yeah.
And Sonic 4 was not really that. That was it was the new Super Mario Brothers.
Some might say it was really not that.
And it was for me, it was an intersection of two things, where one, literally, as soon as I learned that people could make their own games, I wanted to make my own Sonic game as a kid. I drew pictures of levels and I just wanted more 2D Sonic. So part of it is just realizing I could take that childhood dream and then actually apply some of my skills as a self-taught programmer and then try and actually make that a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of being able to realize that personal dream is enough for me. That's amazing. So I think it would be selfish to be I want to take over Sonic.
Yeah.
I'm not, there's so many aspects to Sonic that people like. And I think what I like about Sonic is probably only a fraction of that compared to, I feel at the moment there's a lot of the kids that grew up in Sonic Adventure are now in my age group when I proposed doing Sonic CDs,
right.
1 and 2, and then basically the culmination of that was Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
So maybe one day there'll be a Sonic Adventure. I don't know what the word would be for Mania for that, but the Sonic Adventure kind of culmination. If they ever remake Sonic Adventure or do Sonic Adventure 3, it'd be cool if there was some portion of the team that was kind of some people that have grown up and they're just fuck, I really want to make this new Sonic Adventure game.
Yeah.
And they do it and they realize it and they nail it. And I mean, personally, I'd love to do 3D Sonic, but I also know that 3D Sonic is very much a Sonic team shepherded thing, and they have a strong vision for that. So.
Right. Some would say they have a strong vision for it. Others might disagree.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's worked on a 3D game, it's very challenging.
Yes.
And so I have respect for anyone that ships a 3D game. And it's one of those things, I think with 2D, it's a lot more understandable and accessible for people when they play it.
Yeah.
Whereas with 3D, it's some people love certain control schemes and then others will hate, I find it really interesting, I really like 3D games where you don't have to worry about the camera, but then, other people will be man, fuck this game, I can't control the camera. Sorry, is this podcast swearing okay?
It's fine.
A bit loose, this is in this setting,
Yeah, well, full disclosure, when I played Penny's Big Breakaway, I was definitely I would like to move this controller though. I did feel that way. I wanted to move it because sometimes it wasn't where I wanted it to be,
Yeah.
And I felt like I could do better if I knew where it was. But I realize it also adds a certain kind of a looseness. You have directionality that you want with the controls, and that gets messed up when the camera is not under your control, but mine as a player. So I understood the considerations, but yeah, I definitely wanted to move the camera sometimes.
Yeah, and I think, full disclosure, it's like, it's one of those things where with Penny, we couldn't have retroactively added the camera in, because as soon as you rotate the camera,
it's like there's nothing there. Yeah.
Missing.
Yeah.
Because we kind of specifically built those levels around the rail camera system.
Of course.
But yeah, I totally get it, and I think it's really interesting for me, like pixel art and 2D games. I mean, having stepped away and done 3D, like I have new ideas for 2D now.
Yeah.
But at the time, I felt like before we had started on Penny, I was like, oh man, I've exhausted my kind of creative well with 2D.
Yeah.
I need to move to 3D to kind of explore this huge untapped land that I'm inexperienced in. Whereas like pixel art, I was like, yeah, I know the process, I know how to kind of author all the content reliably, but then 3D is like, how do we even build a level editor that makes sense for our design team?
Right.
And even like with like 3D rendering, that's just like an endless well of shit that you need to do as a programmer. And even when you finish one game, it's like, oh, you've got to constantly evolve the tech. I would love to do more 2D, but then I also want to do more 3D.
Yeah.
And man, it's just like so many things, so little time.
It's true. That's the eternal problem. I was going to ask another joke question, but you'll probably give a serious answer to it anyway. How big was Penny's breakaway?
It was reasonably sized.
Reasonably sized.
And it packed a punch.
Very good.
It was big for Penny.
It was big for our team because we were a small team.
Yeah.
We made our own bloody engine and we made 45 levels. And yeah, man, the fact that we even shipped the game is ridiculous. So it was big.
Very good. What are you doing here in Japan? You're just meeting people? You're going to show something?
I'm not showing anything, just doing a bit of, biz dev.
I see.
And
has anything interesting happened to you while you've been here?
This is my second night here. I arrived yesterday.
Okay. Not a lot of time for interesting things to occur.
I have quite a few interesting things.
Oh, okay.
Saucy things happening this week, but I cannot disclose them this week.
No saucy things. Okay, well, we'll stop there. You want to say bye forever?
Yeah, bye forever.
Very good. Say your name and who you are.
I'm Paul Veer. Been in indie dev since 2009, mostly pixel art stuff. So I work with Flambeer, with Super Crate Box, Loop Frashers, Nuclear Throne, a bunch of other stuff, Gun Gods. And went on to be an animator on Sonic Mania. Then from that went on to be art director on Cadence of Hyrule. Then I went back to doing animation on Momodora Moonlit Farewell, and now I am directing on a project I can't talk about.
Directing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Very big change for me.
I feel like much of our interaction has surrounded NGPC, Neo Geo Pocket Color style Sonic. Why is Neo Geo Pocket style Sonic so cool? Explain it.
There's something about the art style that I'm just like, man, it's so good. It's because you can't use a lot of color or that kind of stuff.
So you have to express it in the animation, I guess.
Yeah, it's expressed in the animation, and it makes it feel more cartoony because of the black lines that they use against the non-outlined backgrounds and stuff. I'm also just a complete sucker for back then the sort of tricks developers had to use to get portable versions of games. And so they were often more like chibi style and like simpler art styles. I love that kind of stuff.
I really miss how there used to have to be a portable version of everything.
Yes.
Like there would be a big one and then there'd be the tiny weird one.
Yeah, even like up to like the 3DS, they were still doing that kind of stuff, and it was always like really interesting. Like, or like DS, like a while back, I went through like a phase of trying like different kinds of like character action games on DS, so like the Kingdom Hearts games and like Phantasy Star and that sort of thing. And it's so interesting the choices developers have to make make that kind of experience on that kind of platform. You know?
And the DS versions were like, it's like Nintendo doing PlayStation is what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
It's very odd and I really like it. Talk to me about Fuga Memories of Steel.
Oh man.
Because you're wearing the shirt.
I am wearing the shirt. They released a shirt recently. I was like, it's so expensive to ship it to Vancouver where I live, but I had to do it. I've been a big fan of like Little Tail Bronx, the overall like series since Solata Robo. Tail Concerto came to Europe, but only in France, and so I never really like got it. So I played Solata Robo. I picked that up on a whim, actually. Like I saw it on Nintendo's website the day before it came out, and I was like, this looks like my shit because it looks like Mega Man Legends. So I picked that up, and then finally, 10 years later, they did like a prequel to it with Fuga. One of the best like turn-based RPGs I've ever played, I think. Just in how it like condenses the experience of a turn-based RPG into like a 15-hour like game. And focuses mostly on like combat and stuff. It's so good.
I just wish they weren't children. There's something about that and I understand that it's kind of like important to the pathos and everything, but it just feels weird to me.
It is weird.
Yeah.
It is weird.
That's the only thing. Like it's really good, but I just wish they were like, I don't know, it would have been fine if they were adults.
Even if they were like a little older, because they're very young.
They're very young. It's like child to children going through war trauma, and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it also means that all the voices are squeaky and tiny, which is a little abrasive to me. I was also big into Solata Robo. I really like the upgrade management system where it was all these little blocks you had to fit together.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Resident Evil 4 inventory system. Yeah,
I really like that, and I actually, the first version of not the first, an early version of Gunhouse, which was our first game, was actually using those kind of connectors.
Oh yeah.
And putting it into a thing so that like guns would show up and attack enemies automatically.
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So yeah, Solata Robo was actually the first one that I really played.
Yeah, I have it on me actually. I'm such a fucking nerd. I'm like, it's on my DS that's in my bag. Yeah.
Awesome. Very good. Yeah, I played Bumpy Trot a little bit.
Oh man, that one I need to fully play as well. Yeah.
You should do it. Cool. Well, thanks, Paul Veer. I look forward to whatever you're gonna direct.
Thank you.
Just put in like one little chibi Neo Geo Pocket sprite.
Okay.
Somewhere.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Like, even if it's like a wall decal or something.
We'll make some room for it. Like I love when games use like that kind of pixel art for like UI and stuff. Like in like No More Heroes or something, you know, they always use like pixel art for UI. Like that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to say bye forever?
Bye forever?
Yes. That's it. You did it. Please say your name and introduce yourself to our lovely friends.
Hello, I'm Hunter Bridges. I am the CTO at Evening Star, the game director on Penny's Big Breakaway, programmer on Sonic Mania, and among other things. I also tinker with random hacking projects.
Yes, let's talk about that. So I just found out that you're a Oscar 120% fan.
Yes.
This was important news. I found that out because Paul, who we just talked to, was showing a picture of Ryuko in Neo Geo Pocket color style, which just makes me want that game to exist. But yeah, so you were
say what you were trying to do with the Neo Geo Pocket emulator.
Yeah, and so it kind of started when I got really into Oscar. I guess it was probably around 2020. Brad introduced me to it. And then I made this like random Twitter bot that would make random matchups and then record a video, and it was just like a CPU versus CPU match.
Yeah.
And I would post it to Twitter, and then it would just it was a bot that just did that like 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And then, like, the first game I supported was Oscar. The second game I supported was Match of the Millennium on Neo Geo Pocket Color. And then, as for Oscar, I kind of just like went down the rabbit hole of trying all the different versions. I tried the one on PS1 and the one on Saturn. The Saturn one's my favorite.
Yeah, it's the best one. And then you were trying to get matchmaking working on a Neo Geo Pocket emulator.
Yes, and so this was like very early COVID quarantine, so I think this would have been like summer, fall of 2020. And this was like a period of time where things were kind of slow at work. We were in the middle of like pitching Penny to publishers and stuff like that, and so it was a lot of like the work side of things was stop and go. And so I was spending a lot of just random time digging into curiosities. And I was like really wanted to be able to play NetPlay on Neo Geo Pocket Color, which has never been done before.
Right.
And so I went super down the rabbit hole of like, I found an emulator for Neo Geo Pocket Color that was written like in 2002, I think. And the source code was available online, and I was like, I'm going to make this thing work on NetPlay. And so I got like super deep into reverse engineering Neo Geo Pocket Color. I found out how to like decompile the ROMs for Neo Geo Pocket Color, and I was kind of like stepping through and figuring out, okay, how can I get the link battle connection thing working on a NetPlay? And it led me down this like very strange rabbit hole where I tracked down the original guy that wrote the emulator 20 years ago, and I tried to ask him questions about how it worked, and he didn't remember a single thing, and he was just like, yeah, dude, I don't know the answer to this question. Which is crazy because he had gone through and, re-implemented the CPU. The Neo Geo Pocket Color uses like a weird CPU that isn't used in any other game console.
Right.
I don't know how you just forget all of that completely. I feel like whenever I do something that deep, it like gets kind of burned into my mind. And so, but I don't know, everybody's different. So.
Maybe he just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, that's probably right. But yeah, so we got really close, and we got to the point where like I at least got it connecting, and I struggled a lot with it would always like connect at first and then immediately drop the connection. But I managed to get past that, and then I got to the point where like, okay, like Paul, who you talked to before, he was like, I really want this to happen so we can play Match the Millennium online against each other competitively.
Yeah.
And we had this big dream of like, maybe we can start the competitive scene.
Yeah.
Especially during COVID, because, you can't go to physical events at that time. It got to the point where we could connect remotely and like start a match, and then it would just always desync by the end of the first round. And so at that point, I didn't really know how to debug like desync on an emulator that I like didn't write myself.
Yeah.
And so I kind of gave up at that point. But
looks like you're gonna have to start from scratch.
I know. I got to reverse engineer a Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Who's your Match of the Millennium team?
Well, I think in that game, I guess there is a tag mode. I usually play like the single mode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I'm like a big Sakura fan in Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And so it was always Sakura and Athena.
Okay. I'm super basic. My team is Ken and Andy Bogard.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Ryu and Terry, but...
Wait, Andy's in Match of the Millennium, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Because in any game he's in, it's him or Joe, and I can't remember.
I don't think that Joe's in that game.
He's in one of them.
Yeah, because there's a lot of different Neo Geo Pocket Fighter games.
They sort of blend together now to me at this point, yeah.
I really like Gallus fighters too because
It's really smooth. I feel.
there's a lot more frames of animation on the characters.
Yeah.
And it also has the Iori, who's
Miss X.
yeah, Miss X.
Miss X. Yeah, it's good.
The art style in those games is I don't know, it's never been recaptured, I think.
Indeed. But everyone that I've talked to at SNK hated working on it.
Oh, really?
They hated working with that platform. They felt so limited. But it did good stuff for you and me, so.
Yeah. There were plenty of people who enjoyed the game.
I agree.
Maybe their hard work was worth it.
All right. Thank you for that.
All right.
Want to say bye forever?
Bye forever.
Hooray. Who are you?
My name is Yohan Leclerc, and I'm a French translator of Japanese manga.
So, what do you think about the encroaching AI problem?
It's worrying. I mean, not in the sense that I don't think it will replace everyone immediately, but I think it will probably bring the prices down.
Yeah.
It will become the new go-to solution for cheap.
Yeah. Maybe premiere releases will still be human.
Yeah, I hope so.
Tell me about an interesting language problem that you have encountered. This might be difficult since we're talking Japanese to French, and maybe I won't understand it, but have you encountered any particularly interesting translation situations?
Well, I encounter new ones every time, so yeah, a lot actually. It's hard to think of just one.
So recently for me, I realized that I had to change a mini game in Demon School because it was untranslatable.
Oh, in what sense?
So it's a karaoke mini game, and instead of being a rhythm game or something, it's actually a word search, and you're searching for the name of the person that you invited to karaoke with you in the lyrics.
I see.
And so I was cleverly doing name puns and things. But then I realized, unless you change the name of the character, it won't work in any other language because there's a character named Destin, and so I can put his name into Destiny, but that doesn't work in any other language.
Oh yeah.
And so basically we're still keeping that for the US, but for every other territory,
I mean, it can probably work in a couple of languages. In French, destiny is destin, so
Yeah.
it's very close.
Yes,
in
but-
Japanese, if you say destiny, I think they will understand too, but you can never be sure it will work in.
No, and I had to do 10 examples of each, and so it gets dramatically more complex. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, did you think of anything?
Well, I'm doing a retranslation of Blade of the Immortal, and it's incredibly tough sometimes because he's doing a lot of. Sometimes he puts poems,
Oh, yeah.
puns, a lot of irony,
Yeah.
and it's all in Edo period language.
Right.
So yeah, all kinds of difficulties, but definitely translating Edo period poems was the tough part of it.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that. People on the show have heard me talk about this before, but when I was working on Sinamura, the shooting game, they decided to use a 110-year-old Hungarian poem from their most famous poet, but they didn't translate it, and they were like, "Please do your best with Google Translate."
Oh.
And I'm like, "But
There were not any official translations of it. Oh.
no. I even checked the Library of Congress and everything, and I was just checking for his poems, and this one had never been translated before. So that was bizarre.
Yeah.
I did my best, so it goes.
Actually, I had on the manga, I had something a bit similar. So it was a historical manga
Yeah.
about the Hussite Wars. It's this with religion wars from the 15th century in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And likewise, there was an old song and poems, and actually a historical poem from that time. And it was in Japanese. But if I wanted to translate it to French, I had to first check the original in Czech.
Right.
Right, yeah. You got a couple layers there.
I actually managed to find the original, to find the English and French translations. So it was a mix of comparing the 4 different languages and some Google Translate to get the best feel for the lyrics, because every version was a bit different.
Yeah. Man, that's so much. That's so much to do, just for one small section.
Yeah.
I hope people appreciate what translators go through.
Well, usually if they appreciate your work, they don't notice anything.
Exactly.
It's only if you fuck up that they
Yep.
that they complain.
It's true. Okay. Well, thank you for that. You want to say bye forever?
Bye forever.
There we go. Thank you. Let us announce Brad. Who are you?
Brad Flick, design director at Evening Star Studios.
Excellent. Give me a little rundown on what you've done.
Game-wise, not a ton, but prior to doing Sonic Mania in 2017, I was a film and television dialogue editor. And when Christian Hunter and I have known each other since I was 13, 14 years old, and I had worked on early versions of the engine with Christian and early projects that helped develop the UI out. And so for the longest time, the UI was built for only me. And then years go by and maybe the opportunity pops up, and then I wrapped up whatever dialogue I had to cut in the first year of Mania. So I was juggling 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Still during the daytime I was still doing film and television, nighttime Mania, and then it was just Mania after that, because I just wanted to get into games and I just thought there was more of an opportunity in the future in it.
Yeah.
I had worked at 4 post-production audio houses in 8 years that went under. And so it was kind of already wearing on me. So
So with dialogue editing, are you matching sound to tape or?
Dialogue editing, a couple jobs that I could do in that, where you're being assistant. You're just you'll get all your takes, all your different microphones, so your multiple booms, the lavs that we're wearing right now, and then matching that to picture, to the edit. And you're handing that off to the dialogue editor, and then you are essentially trying to get your best takes and best mics, editing them together so it sounds like a seamless conversation. And you're usually cutting 8 to 10 minutes of a show or a movie in an 8-hour day. Unless it's reality, then you're cutting half the show in a day.
Right.
And you're not really doing a good job. You're just doing an okay job. And so that was primarily what I was doing. I really liked the science of it, but it was starting to.
It was a grind.
Yeah, it's because it's one of the last parts of the process. People don't leave a lot of money for it.
Right.
And so what I was finding was a lot of the places that I was working for were underbidding for projects.
Oh yeah. Because they needed the money, and then the money got smaller and smaller.
Yeah, and so then you
the standard becomes lower.
I would work for on 3 different things in a week, just because they would have so many projects just to break even, but then not enough people at the studio, which it's especially common in VFX too. And that's there's no union for that, and so it's
right.
Audio was unionized, so you just imagine it's that dire there. It's just it's
right.
way worse.
Yeah.
And so transitioning to Mania, did Mania, heard it was good. Then we decided to incorporate, and then worked on a couple things for a few years, and then 2020 was able to sign with Private Division for Penny and start work on that in 2021.
Did you get to work on anything interesting as a film editor or a dialogue editor that you could be proud of?
There wasn't a whole lot I got
credit for.
Yeah, emotionally invested in when I was doing it. Growing up, I really liked Game Show Network, and so ABC brought back $100,000 Pyramid and Match Game and all these other things, and that was kind of reality television where you had to cut a whole day's worth of stuff, very quickly. But at least everyone only has one mic and they're holding it next to their face.
Right. Yeah.
So it was very simple. You could breeze through it, and it was funny, all the things that they were doing and saying, and so that was pretty easy and pretty fun work. But while I was working on Mania. I was kind of dialogue on Get Out.
Oh yeah.
Jordan Peele movie. So I was doing building Stardust Speedway Zone and then cutting the second half of that movie at the same time. And so when I watched the cut of it, that was probably the first time in like 7 or 8 years where I was like, this is going to be a hit. I'm going to really love this. And I did get really emotionally invested in that project for a good reason.
Right at the end.
It was the only thing I worked on that like won an Oscar. Not that I won an Oscar, just like the movie itself.
Yeah.
So there was just so many like random like odds and ends that I would be called in to do, and like prided myself on speed, which translated to level design work too. I don't think Mania happens if like I don't work as fast as I do. So I usually get called in. Usually when places were like understaffed.
Yeah, and the older you get, the slower you get, and that's the tough one.
I was even in the games industry, and I learned a lot about the games industry just doing film and television. I think a lot of principles like cross over in terms of like, in college you get as much time as you want to like do your thing and make it as perfect as you want, and then you just never get that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so being able to get to that 80% so that it's finished as soon as possible, so the client can look at it and be like, oh wow, it's done, and then you can really drill that to last 20%. If you get the time, if not, okay, they're happy with it.
There it is.
Stuff like that. Like really helped me get into like how Sega works in particular. And so there's like no sacred cows for me, or just like, you want to take that out? I worked a while on it, but if you don't like it, that's fine. Like, it's not. I choose to not die on a lot of hills, if any.
That's good. It's a valuable skill, which I don't necessarily have myself. So
yeah, there's enough people like working on any creative endeavor, especially games, that are trying to like force their like agenda. I'm not subtweeting anybody on this. This happens on every project you like to work on.
Yeah. Hey, I'm always pushing my agenda, so
just cover my ass as a disclaimer. But like, yeah, like you already have those like big personalities. Like, I don't need to add another one, and I can always explain how decisions are made, and maybe you can get them to step down. But ultimately, it's just like, hey man, your money. Like, that's what you want to do. That's what we're gonna do.
That's a good attitude, and I don't have it. All right. Well, thank you. You want to say bye forever?
I am saying bye forever.
Very good. Thank you. So here we are. I happened to find Dylan Cuthbert while on the train to Tokyo Game Show.
There's a surprise.
Yeah, which is funny. I saw Mark Lentz from Chuhai Labs on the train yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So like I've had 0 train rides without people I recognized.
That's cool.
So you are exhibiting here for the first time in how long?
15 years.
15 years. That's quite a long time.
It is quite a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously show at Bit Summit all the time, but not the Tokyo Game Show. It's quite a lot of effort.
Yeah.
To like create the booth and everything as an indie. So it's hard.
Yeah, come up from Tokyo.
It's expensive as well.
Did you have to actually? So you brought like a whole booth.
We sent all the stuff up. Yeah.
Oh,
We
wow.
used like one of the Takubin, the mail services in Japan, and sent it all up in like a massive box container.
So you didn't like print stuff here and rent stuff here, which is what people usually do.
No, we rented a couple of things, but we used all our own equipment, from the office.
Nice.
And the last time, 15 years ago, when we had our booth, which is actually a larger booth as well, 15 years ago, I crammed everything into my car and drove up from Kyoto.
Kyoto. Wow.
Yeah, took overnight. And arrived in the morning at like 8 a.m. and then started setting up the booth.
That's the true indie spirit right there, I guess.
It was a lot of fun.
So what's the game? And I guess you just released it as well?
Yeah, so we did a surprise drop last night. Xbox announced it as part of their kind of stream thing. And it's called All You Need Is Help, and it's out on all platforms, not just Xbox. It's on everything. It's on Game Pass, PlayStation, Switch, Steam, all the platforms. And it's I call it not a shoot 'em up, it's a push 'em up. You like push each other around to solve puzzles.
Oh, okay.
So a four player game.
So like Fall Guys with puzzles, sort of.
Yeah, but with like these cute characters. Ko-san's the lead designer, actually. You know Ko, right? So,
Yeah.
so she's the lead designer on it.
Awesome.
Created all the cute characters and everything. Really, really cool.
That's great. Wow, yeah, I haven't thought about her in a long time.
Yeah, she's been busy. She got married, had a kid.
Oh, wow. Man.
She's having a good time.
I should get in touch with her. We got along so well, and then I like forgot about her existence for quite a few years now. I should reach out.
She went quite a bit when she got married, and
Yeah, that tends to happen. All right. Well, if she's back in the world, I'm gonna say hi.
It's pretty cool.
So
she hosted the party at Q Games last night in Kyoto.
Nice.
For the launch.
How's it been exhibiting? I know it's only been business days.
One day so far, yeah. It's been really good. So the great thing about our game, it has like a really broad appeal. So we've had a lot of women, female players come by as well, but even guys. I've seen old guys walk by as well, and they look at the game, and they go kawaii, because it's a very cute game, and so you can see that they're interested and want to play it. So I think it's great.
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet for us so far, but I think our booth is weird because it was originally, there's some kind of whole situation that I don't really understand, where I think it was briefly going to be part of a Singapore regional booth thing, and then the government sort of dropped out, but then because some other people dropped out, but then people came back in. It's just a whole.
Whereabouts are you? Which hall are you in?
We're in 3, and we're across from the Mecha Break booth, which is playing like ear-splitting dubstep 24.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah,
we were a bit worried because we're near the Disney booth, and on the day we were setting up, there was a lot of noise coming from that booth. But yesterday it was actually fine. It was fine.
Are they? I can imagine with a Disney booth, they might be playing like, a theme from Aladdin or something over and over and over, and then it gets stuck in your brain.
Yeah, it's all Mickey Mouse. Yeah.
Because
they're re-releasing
Epic Mickey.
Yeah, Epic Mickey.
Right.
Well, it's going to be. It's cool. We had all the booths around us have shown interest in our game as well. They all come by and kind of say they want to play it.
Nice.
They're on duty, so they say they come afterwards. But
so it's
been really good. You can win a T-shirt as well on the booth.
Oh, really? Nice. Well, people listening to this, if you can go back in time and head over to TGS, you can win a T-shirt. So you're not in like the indie area, you're in the main hall?
In hall 2.
Yeah.
Hall
okay.
2,
Cool. Right next door to us.
Yeah. Just along. I think the main hall is a bit easier for everybody.
Yeah.
I think the indie hall kind of gets a bit overlooked.
It's rather sidelined, I would say. Because you have to specifically want to go there. For people that don't know about it, it's basically the main halls are like 1 through 9 or something. 10 maybe.
Yeah.
And that's like where the main entrance is. And then there's a separate building that has halls 11 through whatever. And that's where merch is, and so people do go for that. And then there's the indie booth, and I was talking to some indies there, and they had by midday they'd had 4 players. So
that's a shame. On the business days, on the public days, I'll get a lot more.
It'll be better. So what made you decide to come this time?
I think because we had the game, and it's kind of a very and its general appeal as well as, and because we had that announcement coming up as well. So we thought, okay, well, if it's all going to coincide, we might as well just do it and have some fun. It's good for the team, so they kind of enjoy setting it up.
It's a little of a bit of a team building.
Exactly. It's good. We've got like several people up, and then today another set of people come, and then the people who were here for the last few days go back. So we sort of swap people in and out.
Cycling in and out.
Yeah.
Nice.
It should be good.
I'm curious. I don't know if you really have your finger on this, but have you been paying attention to the state of kind of indie games in Japan? Because it seems to me like it's been changing a lot. And I personally feel like there's more actual indie games now, fewer doujin games.
Yes.
And it's kind of.
I think it's caused by Bit Summit in a sense, because Bit Summit's made everything a lot more like on the table, whereas dodging games are all kind of a bit below the table.
Yeah, they're kamikaze
In a way, yeah, exactly. A little bit sort of like an underground scene, and we kind of, I think Bitsummit's helped to bring it all up to be a more overground scene.
Yeah,
so you lose a little bit of that. You lose a bit of that kind of maybe edginess, maybe.
Sure.
But at the same time, I think it's a better ecosystem for like more. I think it's just more enjoyable for everybody.
Yeah, it seems like these days you wind up with more people thinking of indie game development as a career path here than before.
Yeah, a lot more. Yeah. And there's lots of like, I don't really.
The next station is
like incubator funds and like accelerator funds and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of that available now.
Yeah.
I suppose if you're an indie starting out now, it is much more expensive to make a game now than it was, say, like 10 years ago. And so maybe those are useful.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. For me, I'm not sure if you use those funds, I'm not sure if that makes you indie or not. I don't know. It's like a weird. It feels like
almost. It feels almost. All bets are off.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. And it used to be a lot fussier there, but I'm not fussy about that. If you're making games and you believe in it and it's just you making the games, I think that makes you an indie.
Yeah. For you, who is so established, how have you found getting funding? Is it?
We try and get funding from, like, say, the platform holders. Or sometimes we talk to other funds. Like there's a lot of things around, like Kepler and stuff like that. Especially because the kind of games we make as well are more kind of like, I call them like triple I in a way. They're kind of in the middle, not full, not full games, but also not like the raw indie sort of games. So it's like, so we tend to need a bit more money to make the games. Especially releasing on multiple platforms. Everybody wants multiple platforms. And it's such a pain in the ass.
And expectations have gotten much higher.
Yes.
I think because the AAA industry has sort of been slower and there's fewer companies doing it. There's a lot more pressure on the indie scene to pick up the slack. And so a game like Scorn, for example, that had really beautiful high definition graphics and stuff is starting to become
that's a lot of
what's expected.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of work to make those kind of games.
Yeah, it is.
But it's become almost become like the indie industry, I suppose. It's almost become like the games industry 20 years ago. Hasn't it?
Yeah, it feels a lot like that.
Which is kind of a golden era. So it's kind of all right if the funding is there. Like
if the funding is there,
if the publishers are being a bit more aggressive. The publishers are being a bit more aggressive there.
The next station is.
I think one issue that has occurred is that the publishers don't quite support their platforms as well as they did back 20 years ago. They kind of expect everybody just to go at it themselves, like a totally free market. But that's a hard market.
I think like not very many people have a good hold on marketing these days.
No, it's hard.
So
it's all changed, doesn't it?
Yeah, and where publishers, that's kind of what they could offer in the past. Now I feel like the people doing the best jobs are like solo people who happen to be good at it.
And have the networking. They know the influencers or YouTubers. It's all changed, really.
It really has, and so now to me the main value of the publisher is money, and if I had money, I feel like I wouldn't need one.
You wouldn't need exactly.
So it's kind of weird, and I think publishers are actually kind of feeling that squeeze in a way. And another publisher just shut down today. Merge Games.
Wow. That's not good.
Closed down. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what keeps happening.
I think I've always had this. I post about this sometimes online in like a private forum I'm on, but I don't know how the main game industry is sustainable. Because you have these companies that will start to make a game, and they it's talking about the big, not the indie games, but like they have like a game, and they'll hire like 100 people, and they're paying them all like $300,000 a year. And you look at them and you do the math. Like the game has to be like a mega hit in order to recover all that. And most of the time these things just collapse and just die, and then everybody loses their jobs. And, and it's just not sustainable.
No, they just keep getting bigger, and there's not a lot of room for smaller things that could be breakout hits. And I think it's a big problem, and I think eventually, we're going to see those bigger companies having more and more problems, and then we're going to see smaller companies becoming mid-sized companies.
I think so.
Maybe the cycle will repeat itself.
Hopefully, Hugh Games is in that position to kind of take hold there a little bit. But we're happy, what we're doing. We've got about 50 people now. So.
Oh, that's quite a lot.
And we have obviously the game we just released, and we also have another game which we'll be announcing next year. But we also, we're in our 24th year now, and I've just guided it very, very carefully.
Yeah.
And I've tried to not to run on the latest meme or stuff like that. And I just kept it very steady. And we do I balance it out with technology research and stuff, and work that is sort of games adjacent a little bit. To just keep the boat nice and steady.
Yeah.
So, because if you take too much risk in the current industry, you're not likely to succeed. Sadly.
No,
I
totally
very
agree.
Sadly.
I'm always hustling to find more things to do.
Yep.
Does that ever stop? At some point you get to relax?
Nothing ever stops. Sadly. Sadly. That's what I do as well.
Yeah.
And I try and devote as much of my time to actually making the games as possible. But a lot of the stuff is just talking to people and working out interesting and trying to make sure the projects are interesting as well. So obviously there is kind of a load of work out there, but it's hard to really find the stuff that makes you excited.
Especially if you're you have your long-time Nintendo connection and legacy. In some ways,
to use it a little bit.
I worry about folks who don't have any of that kind of stuff and how they're going to get along.
But sometimes though, the fresher face can win through.
Sure.
So it's it's an interesting thing, So sometimes we'll talk to a company, and even though we have the legacy and we have easily have the power to make something, they might just go with something they see as like a fresher, younger face. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
So
aren't we all?
Yeah. And so that sometimes does happen, but sometimes you see that fail though. So because they didn't have the experience or whatever, but. It's good for them to try. But
absolutely.
Sometimes I'm like, look over here. We can make some pretty good stuff as well.
Can you talk about the Nintendo Museum at all, or no?
I think. When does this go out?
Well, it can come out whenever it is okay for you to talk about the Nintendo Museum.
I saw someone tweeting photos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of it. I can talk about it. Yeah, I think I'll talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
But I'd say it's really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. It's very nostalgic. You have to know your Nintendo history a little bit.
Yeah.
When we went, there weren't any explanation cards on anything, which is a bit odd.
Oh, wow.
There had a few things here and there, to show how they had an FX chip, opened up, the cartridge was opened up, you can see the FX chip and everything, for Star Fox. They had some other stuff like that. But I hope eventually next to each game they'll actually have a little bit of history.
I assume they
about
would.
the game.
Yeah, you
right now there wasn't.
Open, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that weren't ready yet.
Yeah.
And one of the best things I liked, this is really weird, was actually the lockers. Where you put your bags at the entrance. Every locker is the design of a Game Boy cartridge. And it just looks really cool. I just really enjoyed it. And it looks like they're going to put a different game label on every single locker. So you can be in the Super Mario Land locker or whatever,
Nice.
So when you go in, you're led upstairs to where the main sort of archive is, and they have every single game. There were some spaces where it looks like they're still trying to get games in. And they're actually probably have a secret account, and to get these games, because some of them you can tell were fully second hand. Bought them from somewhere.
Yeah.
But they have everything. They have all the old Game & Watches. And also, there's a weird type of Game & Watch I'd never seen before, which maybe I didn't see in the West, and they had them there as well.
What was it? What was weird about it?
It's just the shape was a bit different. I can't quite describe it, but it's a slightly different shape. But apparently, it's just after the initial Game & Watches, they did a slightly different style. So that was interesting. And then They have all the board games, all the old toys and everything like that, all on display. They have a Virtual Boy in there. You can actually watch a Virtual Boy game.
You can't play it, but you can just
you
see
can
a
look
video.
through. Yeah, it's
Ah,
not a video. You put your eyes up to there's things in the wall you can put your eyes up to. A bunch of stuff like that. It's just really interesting, I guess, from a geek point of view.
Yeah.
And then you go downstairs and they have like all these playable things, and that was really good fun. Like these Showa era bedrooms kind of set up, and you use on your entrance card you get like coins. You can use your coins to kind of go to try to play the games. And the Showa era bedrooms are really cool. You could go in, and it's like they had an old batting ball, what do you call it, like a batting machine kind of thing, like for your bedroom, and they have those set up, and you can play like just as like you're a kid in the 70s or 80s, but they also have these giant controllers for all their systems. So they have like a giant Super Famicom controller, a giant NES controller, a giant Wii controller. Two of you can pick up, and you have to maneuver it to play like a short version of Pilot Swings.
That's fun, but no Wii U controller.
No, just a Wii U. As far as I could see. Actually, but maybe they had two. So maybe the other one was actually a Wii U one, but not with the screen though, obviously.
Okay.
But like, I'm not sure. But I played Mario Kart with the Super Famicom controller. That was a lot of fun. And then on the Nintendo 64 giant controller, I played Mario 64. You have to just collect enough coins, and it takes photos of you while you're playing with these giant controllers, and then you can later on, using your entrance card, you can access the website and get the photos.
I guess with the N64 controller, they're going to have to replace the analog stick every couple months.
Yeah, it might. Yeah. I hope they made it well. I don't know. Good fun. Good fun.
So you got to go with Miyamoto and a bunch of other fellas.
Well, they were there at the same time. Yeah. I mean, like it was a whole. Basically, I think it was the day that Nintendo went. All this Nintendo stuff went. So like.
What did they think?
And I didn't get a chance to ask him for it. Well, I mean, he obviously thinks it's amazing.
Right.
Yeah. But I only just said hello to Miyamoto. But the other guys, Sakamoto and like Hip Tanaka and stuff, they were like looking at the Game Boy games and stuff, and the Game & Watches and stuff, because that was about the era they started. It was about the time when they were making Game & Watches, and they were there for a long time, like talking about that era.
Yeah.
It's kind of they seem to really enjoy it. I saw an old friend. They used to. So the Game Boy game I made called X.
Shooting game.
One of the guys on that, Sugino-san, he was there, and I hadn't seen him for like 20 years. And in the entrance, I walked past him, and we just kind of looked at each other as though we both kind of semi-recognized each other. Walked past.
Little double take.
And then we both turned around at the same time and sort of went, and he went like, Dylan? And I said, Sugino? It was like a little movie moment.
Yeah, it was totally like they do that in every anime.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like that. It was good fun.
That's awesome.
He was the artist on the game.
What's he up to these days?
I don't know actually. He's obviously much older now, so it looks like he's more like helping out with the museum.
Really?
Yeah, maybe. A lot of the old staff are kind of helping out with the museum.
Yeah, I wonder, maybe you know, who made the like new games that are there.
I don't know actually, but they must have been made internally, I think. Yeah, like maybe they got the new guys at the Nintendo, like the newbies, the good practice, right? Because they're kind of short games.
Yeah.
The shooting game is fun, with the super scope and the Famicom pistol, the Duck Hunt pistol.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Oh, we're almost here.
Well, it looks like this is our stop.
Yeah.
So I guess that's
we'll
the
wrap
end
up
of
the podcast.
interview time. Thanks for doing this.
No, it's great fun, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hey, bye for now.
Bye for now.
So I'm here at TGS now, and I have to describe to you well, as you can hear, it's not that loud, so I'm not on the show floor or anything. I'm in front of the New Otani Hotel overlooking the parking lot, waiting for a meeting. But I must share with you the amazing process that they have for getting a business pass right now. So, I've worked in events before. I worked with GDC for 20 plus years, so I understand how events can be difficult, but here's the process for a business pass. First, you have to do a registration thing online. That's fine. And then they send you a PDF with a QR code. That's also fine. I would just assume you would take this QR code, they would scan it, and they would give you your badge and everything. That is not what happens. First, you have to go into one line and get your badge printed out. Even if you already printed it out, you still have to wait in that same line, unfortunately, for those who tried to be proactive. Then you have to wait in this extra long line for 45 minutes to just fold up that piece of paper and get a badge holder. They needed to give you a badge holder, and it took 45 minutes to do such a thing. I was there with Paul Veer in line, and we were just like, why is this happening? He had already printed his badge out. And the insult to injury, which was noticed by Paul, in fact, he was looking at this pass, this business pass, and it says, Business Day Pass. Day Pass. And it says September 26th on it. There's no way to buy a single day pass, and yet it appears as though you have to wait in that 45-minute hour line every day to get your new day of pass. Like, what are these people doing? What are they doing? It's my fault. I keep coming back here. I guess it's my fault. But get it together. Bye forever to them, is what I want to say.
So, tell me the story about your chair going missing at TGS.
So, I rented 2 chairs at TGS. I only got one.
Yeah.
Nobody will give me my chair back, and nobody will give me my money back. But that's TGS.
And they say that because like they can't prove that you didn't steal the chair.
Nobody knows where my chair went, not me, not the staff, and nobody wants to be responsible for it. So.
Ridiculous. Are you in the indie section or are you?
Indie section.
Have you done it before?
No, I did online. That was useless. It's my first time doing it offline.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the online one was useless. Did you get part of the Steam showcase or no?
No, I was part of a PDF.
Oh, a PDF.
They had all our names on the PDF.
That's an amazing online showcase. Wow.
Yeah, that was in 2021. They had a PDF of all of the indie developers, so you can read the PDF, no links.
That's pretty high quality.
That's TGS for you. Always
always
great.
2 years ago?
I think 3 years ago.
Oh, I was saying for me.
Oh yeah.
2 years ago.
Oh, was that hybrid?
We had
in person. Was it hybrid in person or?
No, it was in person.
Okay.
So we were like trying to get a booth with my publisher, and we did, but I didn't but the area wasn't really great because like he hadn't exhibited recently, and so they gave like a worse area, and so I mailed the guy who's in charge of the Sense of Wonder Night.
Oh yeah.
Which is
the indie thing, right?
Yeah, it's an indie show, like award show that I had given my free labor to for 12 years to judge. And I was like, is there any way we could like get a better thing? And dude was like, please understand that I cannot turn back time. I was like, screw you, buddy.
Yeah, please understand I want to punch you in your face, but politely.
Indeed.
With words.
Yeah, very, very polite. So what's your game?
Marin's Day. It's going to come out on Game Boy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you make it with the...
Yes, DB Studio.
Nice. What is it all about?
It's like silly RPG adventure. You go around town, you help out your friends, and then you go to a festival. It's all very cute.
That's what I like. That's what I like. Okay. Oh, we didn't say what your name. You should introduce yourself.
Casey. I'm Casey. I help run Tokyo Indies. Alvin is the organizer. I do miscellaneous tasks, and I also make games.
Excellent. Yeah, we probably should have done that at the start.
It's okay. Casual podcast.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you want to say bye forever?
Bye forever.
There you go.
It is my last day in Tokyo. I'm headed out to Takeda no Baba because in a very unfortunate happenstance, I lost my Passmo. Passmo, if you don't know, is the IC card for the Tokyo Metro that you use to get around everywhere on trains and such. It's functionally basically the same as the Suica, but I liked it because it was for the Tokyo Metro, and that's where I was first using that when I was first in Japan, and I've had it for 20 years, and it just it's very sad, very sad to have lost it. I'm gonna see if I can get another one. I'm not feeling hyper confident about that. I don't really remember how we got one in the first place. There's the main trouble now is there's a IC chip shortage. And so they weren't issuing them for quite a long time, and even now I think they're only doing like replacements and things. I don't want to have to use the app on my phone or whatever. I want to just have the Passmo. I asked 3 different station operators, station attendants I should say, they don't operate the station, and they gave me 3 different answers. In fairness, 2 of them worked for JR, so they wouldn't really even know about that. But through a combination of conversations and internet sleuthing, I've determined that Takeda no Baba is the place where I might be able to get one issued. So that's my big plan. Wish me luck. Bye forever. Mission success. I went to Takeda no Baba, and after a lot of waffling and wandering around, I got a Passmo. So they sell various types of Passmos. There's the dumb welcome to Japan foreigner only ones that expire, which is not useful in any way. Then they have the regular ones with a name attached and regular ones without a name attached. Mine almost certainly didn't have a name attached, but that's the only kind they'll give you currently. So that's what I got, but of course my name doesn't fit. So I'm Sheffield Brando from now on. Passmo has decided it, but at least I got one. At least I got one. And now I'm in Shinjuku to do some last shopping. This is actually, I'm leaving tonight, and I thought that I had to check out of my Airbnb this morning, figure out a place to put my giant bags full of nonsense records that I bought, records and shoes and jackets. But as it turns out, I accidentally secured my Airbnb until tomorrow. Wow, that is so loud. Hold on. Good Lord. What the heck are they doing? Oh, it's Jesus. It's a it's a friggin' Jesus truck. Lord. Oh, literally. Fuck you. Good Lord. It's got a fucking Trump sticker on the side of it. Believe in the Lord, Donald Trump. What a... Leave me alone. I'm not even in the country right now, you know? Give it a rest. That freaking guy isn't even a Christian. He believes in the other guy, if you know what I mean. Anyway, man, they really shot all the thoughts right out of my brain with how offensive that was. Right, so I have some time now because my Airbnb, I accidentally signed it for till tomorrow. So, cost a little more money, but I already spent it, so whatever. Now I can wander around until 5 o'clock. I'm in Kabukicho now, Shinjuku, the actual Kamurocho, and I'm looking for the J-pop disc union that sells all the City Pop one. They have a City Pop specific disc union, and I don't remember where it is. There's also apparently a Surugaya here. I'm gonna look at that. Have y'all ever had the experience, not that you can answer me, of someone following you around a store and looking at everything that you bought? That has happened to me a few times here. Well, a few is a slight exaggeration. It happened twice. Once at Beep, I was just going around looking at games and guidebooks, and everywhere I went, there was this big dude with a backpack who was just like mugging me and then immediately looking at whatever I looked at. Very strange. I don't know what his deal was. And then when I was at that flea market I told y'all about, while I was with Dami Lee, I brought her over because I found some Korean cassette tapes. And I don't read Korean or know the artists well enough. So I was asking for her consultation, and she's like, oh, this one's my mom's favorite. So I got that one. I got one called Discotheque. Anyway, as soon as I had brought her over to look at them, this old guy just like rocketed from out of nowhere next to me to just immediately start looking at the 2 tapes that I hadn't picked up yet. He just snatched them and he was like, yeah, huh. He didn't actually make those sounds, but that's what I imagine. You know, like when you invent little effort noises for your pet, that's what I was thinking. There's a big van that just says tuna on it. Tuna Tohachi. Well, it's been a weird trip. I had some fun times, had some weird times. I straight up didn't tell you about most of them. Sorry. I just kind of didn't have it in me this trip. But the fact that at least 5 people here who are Westerners who live in Japan asked me if I would please do another walk around, talk around Gaiden episode, I figure I ought to do it. If people that live here like it enough and they're willing to bear all of the on-the-spot errors that I make, maybe it's worth doing. At least for the guidance. I think that's all I got. Maybe I'll tell you about all the things I bought later. Maybe I willn't. That's my journey. It ended with a loss of a Passmo and a gaining of a new Passmo and a new first name. Do not ever call me Brando. I don't like it. But that's the Passmo way. I've 100% lost myself. I don't know where this place is. I haven't been looking at my phone. I'm just wandering around. Yeah, before I go, yesterday I went and had ramen with Vincent Diamante, co-creator of Insert Credit. We were going for a ramen shop in Tokyo Station that had vegan ramen, not Tease Tantan, but Sorairo something. Anywho, I was like, let's look it up. And he's like, no, I know exactly where it is. And then we reached this one point at a certain part of the Tokyo Station. As you may or may not know, Tokyo Station is like, it's huge. It's the biggest station in the universe. That's hyperbole, but it's not a big hyperbole, I don't think. Anyway, he had a choice, I later learned, of going one way or another, and he felt 50-50 that it could be either way. And we walked for a really, really long time in the wrong direction before we had to walk all the way back in the other direction. And I was carrying my winnings from Book Off Super Bazaar. We went there after Tokyo Game Show yesterday. There's a big Book Off Super Bazaar in Chiba, and I bought shoes, I bought jackets, I bought a couple of records. It was heavy. And we just walked all over the dang Tokyo Station. So the moral of the story is, if you think there's a 50-50 chance in Tokyo Station, it could be one direction or another. All the way 1 mile one way or all the way 1 mile another way. Maybe confirm it first. That lady laughed right in time with me. She thought it was funny. All right, that's it. That's really it. Get out of here. Go on, get. Get. You bother me. Bye forever.
Insert Credit Gaiden is a production of Insert Credit, edited by me, Esper Quinn, with original music by Kurt Feldman. Thanks for listening.
Did you ever see the Neo Geo Pocket style sprite that Paul did of Yoko from Oscar